Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we continue our reading and reflecting in the Psalms. We're going to be continuing our reading in the 119th Psalm. We'll be looking at verses 17 through 32. We're going to see that with these verses, the psalmist is going to be talking about entreating God to deal fairly, to deal well with him, because he puts his trust in the Lord, and without God he is nothing. Without God he is dust. And so he wants to walk in the way of the Lord and follow God's commandments. If you would read with me the 119th Psalm, we're going to be starting in verse 17. I'll be reading from the New American Standard Version. Deal bountifully with your servant, that I may live and keep your word. Open my eyes, that I may behold wonderful things from your law. I am a stranger in the earth. Do not hide your commandments from me. My soul is crushed with longing after your ordinances at all times. You rebuke the arrogant, the cursed, who wander from your commandments. Take away your reproach and contempt from me, for I observe your testimonies. Even though princes sit and talk against me, your servant meditates on your statutes. Your testimonies also are my delight. They are my counselors. My soul cleaves to the dust. Revive me according to your word. I have told of my ways, and you have answered me. Teach me your statutes. Make me understand the way of your precepts, so I will meditate on your wonders. My soul weeps because of grief. Strengthen me according to your word. Remove the false way from me, and graciously grant me your law. I have chosen the faithful way. I have placed your ordinances before me. I cling to your testimonies. O Lord, do not put me to shame. I shall run the way of your commandments, for you will enlarge my heart. So we can see verses 17 through 24. We can see here that the psalmist is entreating God, putting his trust entirely in God's commandments, that even though the world around him, you can see that the princes devise wicked things, they speak falsely against him, and yet he puts his trust in the Lord. He wants to keep his commandments. You see, verses 17 through 24, each of those verses start with the Hebrew letter Gimel. And then in verses 25 through 32, start with the Hebrew letter Daleth. And so those verses of 8, each of those 8 verse sections, are going to focus on one particular aspect. Verses 17 through 25, he does not want to have God hide his face from him. He does not want God's commandments to be far from him. Instead, he clings to them and wants to walk in them. He meditates in them. But then verses 25 through 32, we see the psalmist recognizing that without God, he is nothing. He is but dust. In verse 26, he says, I have told of my ways, and you have answered me. Teach me your statutes, he says. Make me understand the way of your precepts, so I will meditate on your wonders. When we consider God and his law, when we consider God and the wonderful things that he has done, really, it is amazing that our mighty God whom we serve would take notice of us who are weak, we are fallible, we stumble, we fall, we walk poorly, and yet God has bestowed grace on us. God has shown his love and his mercy towards us, and he will give us strength. We can turn to his word, we can gain wisdom beyond our years, we can walk righteously if we will do as the psalmist has declared here. He says in verse 30, I have chosen the faithful way. I have placed your ordinances before me. I cling to your testimonies. We can do the same. And we can have the confidence that the psalmist does, even in the midst of trials, in the midst of people who are going according to the wicked way, we can have confidence and hope in the Lord. I hope that this helps you as you go through your day today. May God bless you.